Have you seen this news? Let me see.
The government just announced we can't fly to Australia anymore.
Then how about our business trip next week?
I'm sure you have heard the news. Our company can't go to the Australia because of COVID-19. However, we have a different plan to keep the audit going.
Since then, we have carried out many remote audits. With each project, we have gained valuable lessons and experience. So today, I would like to share them with you.
A remote audit is simply an audit done without the auditor physically at the site. Instead, some or all gathering evidence activity are done remotely. Auditors use digital tools to access systems, review documents, and communicate with staff. There are two types of remote audit: fully remote audit and partially remote audit. As you can see on this chart, before COVID-19, the adoption of remote auditing was quite limited, as most procedures were still carried out on site. The outbreak of pandemic significantly increased the demand for the remote audits, leading to the rapid rise of supporting technologies such as EY cameras, PwC Aura, KPMG Flower, and Deloitte Omnia. These platforms have ensured the continuity and effectiveness of auditing during periods of social distancing. After pandemic subsided, the proportion of remote audits declined noticeably, but modern technologies have continued to be widely applied in auditing.
In the early stage of pandemic, Vietnam primarily applied general regulation of financial auditing and reporting. There were flexible adjustments due to the impact of COVID-19, but no separate document specifically addressed remote auditing. However, by 2025, specific guidelines has been issued. That is the decision number 243, issued and monitored by the State Audit of Vietnam. Regulation emphasize audit processes must ensure quality, security, and compliance with standards. The remote auditing is integrated into auditing standards such as PCLP or AICPA. These guidelines emphasizing the maintenance of evidence qualities without fundamental changes.
GDP is German-based carrier, freight forwarder, and logistics provider in COVID-19 pandemic, making on-site audit impossible. Therefore, they were looking for a trusted audit provider that's experienced in providing high-quality remote audit. Remote audit had the same objective and procedure as traditional audit, but the difference is the execution method and working environment. Now, I will show you how we audit the Transco Berlin Brandenburg. For the planning stage, we hold virtual meeting to discuss and design a detailed agenda to identify the risks associated with the supplier TDB based on our experience in on-site audit to develop an open and efficient method. And we identify the technology, which is a simply video conferencing platform and file sharing tool. We also tested via a dry run and provided a backup plan or plan B option with the objective of ensuring feasibility and data security. And to facilitate the execution of remote audit, we required TBB provide relevant documents in advance. For the execution stage, to evaluate the compliance and ensure security, we apply following tools. We use electronic trial master file (ETMF) for document sharing with read-only access and export function. Perform video interview by using RAS, remote audit solution. And to support data processing, we use ACL analytics. For the completion stage, we conducted virtual closing meeting to present preliminary findings, exchange digital documents, and discuss adjustment. And we use ICT for reporting and follow-up.
That is one of the typical examples of remote audits. After a series of remote audits, we have faced many challenges in complying with the standard and ensuring audit quality. And now I will tell you about the challenges that auditors face when auditing remotely. The first Limitation of audit evidence and physical observation. One of the more pressing issues is that remote auditing restricts our ability to collect sufficient evidence through physical observation. Instead of working into the warehouse, counting inventory, or touching the assets ourselves, we often rely on photo, video calls, or electronic files sent by the client. And when evidence is weaker, auditor risks violating the general standard rule, which require sufficient and appropriate audit evidence as the basis for an opinion. If we accept photograph or client provide files without verification, we fall short of this standard. Moreover, let's come with the challenge 2, limitation of communication and coordination. Another challenge is communication. Remote audit depend heavily on video call and emails. These tools are convenient, but they lack the richness of face-to-face conversation. Misunderstandings are more likely. Clarification takes longer, and supervising journal staff become much more difficult. When communication breaks down in this way, auditor risk compromising the integrity and objectivity rule. If we misrepresent information due to poor communication, our objectivity is at stake. It's also in danger to compliance with standard rule, because proper review, supervision, and documentation are all required by auditing standard, and these processes become much harder when communication is fragmented.
When auditors conduct remote audits, technology-related issues can create several ethical concerns. First, if we rely on untested digital tools, weak VPNs, or third-party sources like Google Drive, Dropbox, or movies, client data can be exposed to cyber attacks. This directly threatens Section 700 confidential client information. Auditors must not disclose client data without consent. A single breach not only violates confidentiality but also breaks client trust. A real example is the 2023 movie incident. The Scalp ransomware gang exploited a security for a movie. They stole data from more than 120 organizations. About 50 million records were exposed, including from big audit firms like EY and PwC. Another challenge